Welcome back to another episode of the Kingdom Blueprint Podcast. Man, what are we doing?
I don't know. I actually don't know.
I don't either.
I think today is just going to be a barbershop conversation, I feel like.
We're going back to our roots.
We're going back to our roots. Don't necessarily have an agenda.
Yeah.
Just have a conversation. I feel like we haven't had just a regular, unscripted, no agenda, no outline.
What, you're saying all of our conversations have been scripted so far? Uh-oh.
No. No, we've kind of. Not fully scripted, but, having an outline and kind of a direction where we want to go.
Preparation.
Yeah. Which, not to say that we weren't prepared for today, because I think we were prepared for today.
Yeah.
But
I wasn't. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Hey, just keep it a buck on here. But yeah, I think I was just thinking about it before we were getting ready to record, and I was like, man, I always enjoyed the conversations we were able to have, whether it was in the barbershop or not. Yeah. I think just some of the conversations we've been able to have organically, that's how this podcast was even birthed.
True.
To begin with, was at a barbershop in the chair having a conversation like, yo, this could be something. So why not take an episode?
Yeah.
To
let's keep it organic.
Keep it organic. Kind of see where the Holy Spirit leads it, where it goes.
Yeah. I like that.
What we're going to talk about.
I like that. I got to say really quick, I like those glasses you got on, bro. I'm going to be real.
I appreciate you. It's a little bit out of my comfort zone.
Those clean. To
be in glasses.
Yeah.
Period.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, I usually only wear glasses inside my house and at night, not going out. But I finally found a pair of glasses that I like.
Yeah.
We rocking with it.
Those are clean. I like the shout out to the vest you got on too. I feel like you got to tell the story behind that. That's a clean vest.
I appreciate you. So, a person that we mentioned a lot, on this podcast, Tanya, actually brought these vests back from a trip that she took with her husband Brian. They took a trip to the Middle East, and they were in Jordan at a refugee center in Jordan. And there's a wide range of women and children in this facility, and they handmade vests, bags, some shirts. Yeah. And had the opportunity to kind of to sell some of those products this past weekend at the church. 100% of the proceeds go back to that center, helps out those women and children to be able to provide and pay rent. So this is one of those vests. Yeah.
No, I got one too. I was supposed to wear it and I dropped the ball, but
it's okay. The next
clean.
One.
Shout out to Tanya and Brian, and shout out to Peter and Tanya Amran, who run Heart of Mercy.
Yeah.
The organization behind this, doing some amazing work in the Middle East, especially with everything going on there right now.
Yeah.
But I was like, we got to shout that out.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you rocking. I'm like, dang, I should have put mine on.
So when they see you wear it next week, it's not the same vest. It's a different vest. I'll wear it again. Yeah. I'll just outfit repeat.
Did they trade vests?
No, it's not. We both have one, and we'll both wear it again. Yeah. We just gotta rock it. So yeah. So big thank you to Tanya and to Brian and to Pete and Tanya for doing everything that they're doing and just being out there and serving people. So thank you guys.
Yeah. Thank you guys, definitely. Man, but yes, okay. So we keeping it organic. No script, no outline. You already told the people that we usually prep and have a script.
I know.
So now
you can cut it out.
Nah, it's all good. Man, no, so I think, to back up a bit, I know we were talking before this about taking it back to even some of those barbershop conversations that we used to have. And shout out to everybody that's been listening since the first episode.
Yeah.
I think we told that story a bit, but this was birthed essentially in that barbershop setting. Me being one of your clients for a number of years now, which is crazy. We getting old, bro.
It's going by fast too. Time is just flying.
It's nuts. We figured this, this being a product of that, we got to take it back one time and have one of those
why not let it flow, right? And I think that was the cool part about it is being in a setting where it's like, hey, we're just talking, and I think always leaving room to have those Jesus-centered conversations, regardless of what we're talking about. And I think we talked about it on a previous episode where we, at work, I think it was just Q did a good job of allowing that space.
Yeah.
And to go from talking sports or talking about food or whatever the case may be is to have these conversations. And then at some point in this conversation, we're able to have room or insert Jesus into that conversation. Then all of a sudden now we're just on a completely different conversation talking about a whole bunch of different things.
Yep.
So that kind of like what kind of sparked it for me today is like, man, let's just have a conversation. Where are we at? How is life?
Yeah, man.
What's going on? And even in that, I think we have yet to kind of share our like salvation stories in depth.
Right.
So
you want to start there? You want to talk about
why not? Let's the origin story. I think we haven't had an origin story yet.
Right. I feel like we've touched on it. We've alluded to certain parts of our respective journeys through different episodes, but I don't think we talked about like here's the story. Like we haven't really laid it out. No. Okay, let's do it. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
I could go first.
Please.
I was
hoping you actually.
Yeah. But side note, what's crazy is when we started this podcast and having conversations after we launched, the first episode, second episode, talking to some people. I had a conversation with somebody at the barbershop about the podcast. And I was like, you know what? Like, they're like, how is it? Is it hard? Like, what's the process? I'm like, you know what? Like, preparation is preparation. Like, it's going to be one of those things where it's another thing in your day. But I said, Dom is such an easy person to have a conversation with, which makes having these conversations really easy.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And the person says, you know what I really love about Dom is Dom's willingness to go first in a conversation, which allows you to be comfortable. And I said, you know what? Yeah, he is okay with maybe being vulnerable first or allowing you to feel comfortable by sharing something that might be a little hard to share. So I thought about that. I was like, man, I appreciate you for like how you have conversation and like your willingness to be open and be vulnerable, which allows other people to say, you know what, I can kind of share what I want to share.
Man, that first off, thank you. I didn't know you were going to compliment me in that way. That's definitely a compliment and I'll receive it. That's even for me that I'm taking it back because that's just credit and glory to God because I haven't always been the most open and vulnerable person or not willing to go first in certain situations, especially with being open or vulnerable because like you mentioned, it's not always easy depending on what you're talking about. So, man, that's glory to God. That's cool that, you guys see that and that's been identified to me because it's completely, it's new for me and it's not always easy. And I don't even always think I do a good job. So, I mean, thank you.
Well, you are doing a good job. So, praise God for like the work that he's done in the process.
Sure.
But, like you are doing a good job. And so
I appreciate that.
We appreciate you. The Kingdom Blueprint podcast community appreciates you.
Appreciate that.
But with saying that, I'll go first.
But I got this.
Yeah, but you know what? I'll go first. So I grew up Catholic and went to catechism, did like first communion, all the things. And for the most part, growing up, we went to church when most people go to church.
Yeah.
Christmas, Easter. That's pretty much it. Not really having a relationship with God. It was more so these were the things that we did.
Yeah.
Like you go to church, when everybody goes to church and that's it. And
it's kind of like routine and
it's routine, very routine.
really quick. I'll be honest. I was thinking about this the other day because I think Ati and I drove past a Catholic church in the city, and I'm thinking about it. And I'm like, I don't even know much about like the Catholic faith or how you go about things, right? So is it like a church? Is it church every Sunday? Like do people do that, right? It's so kind of the same.
Yeah, okay. Is mass every Sunday, right. Church every Sunday. It is. I would say it is the complete opposite of what we would call church today, like how we do church. It is very structured. It's very quiet. It's not a response. Like the priest is not going to say something, you're going to hear somebody like respond to it.
We're not
like
preaching no more.
No, we're not preaching no more.
We're not doing the come ons.
No.
Nobody standing up and clapping during
okay. Absolutely not. There is not necessarily a worship service, you would say. So it's just quite different. It's a lot quieter, a lot stricter. It's just not the same as what I mean. And to be honest, to be fair, like growing up, I was young, so half the time I wasn't paying attention in church because I just wanted to get it over with. Like, I'm trying to get up out of here. Like, this is boring. So that's kind of how I grew up. For the most part, just went Christmas and Easter, a little CEO action, Christmas, Easter only. And then get into my later teens, maybe 17, 18.
Yeah.
One of my good friends that I grew up with, I knew since I met him, he was a Christian.
Okay. But
when we were in school, I wouldn't say he was living a set apart life that we talked about on the last episode.
Yeah.
So growing up, you kind of see this, like, I knew this person to be a Christian, but then also I see the lifestyle of it. Yeah. So there's like that, like, I don't really know.
You know how he's really
right. But then he's like, yo, I'm getting rebaptized. Can you come to my baptism? Yeah, run it. Yeah. Go to the baptism. And what's crazy is, like, full circle, that's the first Christian church I go to. And it just so happens to be
right
at our location now.
Right, I remember this. Yeah,
so it's at our church building now. Yeah. First time I ever go to a Christian church. We get into the service. Me and them are there, and worship starts. I'm like, oh, this is kind of nice.
Yeah, this ain't mass.
Yeah, this is kind of nice. You know, like, this is cool. And then service starts, and this is where I'm like, this is so foreign to me.
Yeah.
So he started preaching, and there's like a lady behind me, and she's like, come on. I'm like, someone needs to tell her to be quiet. Like,
come on, what are you even
you're not supposed to talk right now. Like, he's speaking, okay? Pastor speaking. I'm gonna need you to pipe down back there. Right. So I'm like, this is the first time I'm ever in a service where there is a response. Yeah. So we go through the whole service, he gets baptized, and afterwards, I'm talking to them like, yo, like, I really enjoyed that. And she was like, that was awful. She was like, I never want to, I do not want to come back here.
Do not invite me back.
She was like, that did not feel like church. I did not feel like I went to church at all. Like, that was not good. I'm not coming back. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, all right, whatever. So we leave it at that. My first experience didn't go back. And I think after that moment that I initially had that, like, I think my heart was open to, like, oh, I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
That's when I felt the first time God pursuing me.
How old are you at this point?
I think in my early 20s. I got maybe around 22.
Okay.
23, okay. 22.
Yeah.
So that's kind of when I felt like, oh man, I think God is pursuing me or knocking at the door. And I talked to them about it, but she's like, no, like, I'm Catholic. I know I'm Catholic. Like, I'm not trying to change up. Yeah. Like, we're good.
Yeah.
And then like starts the tug of war. Now, like, I'm not going to say like the arguments, but the debates are now like starting like, oh, well, what if we get married and we have kids? Like, then we can't get married in the Catholic Church. What happens about our kids? Like, our kids going to get baptized? And it's like, dang, okay. Well, this is not going to go nowhere. So now I just don't know. So now it just lays dormant. Like, now I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, we just going to be back to a regularly scheduled programming. Then I get a job at Cutright. Now I'm at Cutright. I'm with Q. I'm with Terrell on a regular basis. And now now I start having questions. Like, I start asking Q questions. Like, I'm just asking him about Jesus. I'm asking him these things. And like, he'll give me some nuggets. And I'm like, all right, cool, back into the world. Then I ask Relly, like, hey, what about this? And okay, give me an answer and back into the world. And then, but at the same time, like, me and them aren't really having conversations about church anymore. I'm just asking these questions. And then Terrell one day was like, hey, bro, like, are you going to stop just being in this like cycle of doing what you're doing, asking a question, getting an answer, and then you just back in a loop? Because you keep coming back to the same spot. Like, you keep asking questions, but then you're back in the world, and then you get back to the spot. Like, you're just nonstop in this cycle of like, when are you going to stop? And I was like, dang, I don't know.
Talk about accountability.
Right. So I'm like, I don't know. Like,
I'd be like, don't check me, bro.
Yeah,
check
like,
that hairline that you lining up over there. Don't check me.
But at the same time, there's so much grace and like there's just room to have these questions. And it's like, okay. They're like, why don't you come to the church? Like, why don't you come?
So I want to back up a bit. So because I love hearing your story, especially from this perspective. So you grow up Catholic.
Yeah.
Your friend who you grew up with, he gets rebaptized, taking his faith seriously, invites you to church. You kind of at that moment feel like God's tugging on your heart. But after that, you don't really step foot into a church setting.
After that,
fast forward, you get a job at Cutright, the barbershop, where Q is the owner that we talked about.
Yeah.
And Terrell, who's there. And so they're kind of like your next, like, I would say, step, basically, when it comes to your faith. Like, they're like that next point of contact.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. And I saw Q. So when I met Q when I was 12.
Okay, so you already knew Q.
So I knew Q when I was 12, and I knew Q also before he knew the Lord.
Yeah.
So I saw Q get saved.
Right.
Essentially. And then like his life completely like shift.
Right.
And then when I'm young, I'm like, man, this cat got so weird.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want, like, what? Like music started to change. How he dressed started to change. Like how he talked changed. I'm like, I'm 16 years old.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this was the coolest dude to me.
Yeah. You
like I became a barber because of him.
Yeah.
Like he had all the shoes, all the clothes. And I'm like, man, I guess I got to be a barber if I wanted to get all the gear. That's how it even came about. And then now it's just a switch up. And now he's just talking about Jesus. He playing Christian rap in his garage. And I'm like, this is the worst. This is the worst music.
Especially back then. Because I know around the time like you're alluding to, Christian rap used to be terrible.
Yeah. Like, and I'm like,
a spade. It's gotten a lot better. Shout out to all the Christian rappers out there right now.
But it was like,
but back in those early 2000s.
Yeah. And I'm 16.
Yeah.
So like he goes from being the coolest dude.
Yeah.
To I tell him this all the time. I say, you look like a substitute teacher right now, bro. Like you got on a sweater vest, spiky hair. Like, I don't know what happened to my dog. Like, I don't know what happened. So now I'm like, I for sure don't want no part of this Jesus you talking about.
Maybe I don't want to be a barber anymore.
I don't want no part of this Jesus you're talking about. So then and then over time it's like, now I get it too.
Yeah.
Because when you first come to the Lord and you just so on fire for God, everything changes in your life.
Yeah.
You cut off anything that was your old self. You're like, I need to just get rid of it.
Yeah.
I need to cut ties with some stuff.
Yeah.
And then like, okay, then you kind of mature a little bit. You're like, okay, like I can kind of
can
settle down. I sat down a little bit.
Yeah, you ain't got to go full business.
Right, you know what I mean? Like, and then it's like, Marcus, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry, bro. I love you.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bro. But
man.
no, but then I go back to Q and I'm like, oh, Q is back. Like I see him and it's like, all right, like my dog is back.
So what happened there, right? Like what?
I just think you, like I said, you just so on fire and like certain things happen. You just want to get rid of all those things that remind you of what you came from.
That classic overcorrecting.
You know what I mean? Overcorrect just, you know, so I think at some point you just come to a moment where you're like, okay, I can still be fly. I can still talk how I talked before. Maybe I clean up my verbiage, but I can still talk how I talk. I can still dress how I still like those things. And it's not going to hinder my walk or hinder my relationship with God.
That's good. And I wanted to touch on that really quick, just side tangent, because I feel like that's something that a lot of people get wrong. Or I think there's this misconception that you have to completely just live differently and be different. It's like, no, you allow the Holy Spirit to change you. And obviously, the goal is to become more like Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Get out of sin patterns.
Yeah.
But in terms of things like how you dress, how your creativity, how you perceive certain situations, perceive life, right? Like at the end of the day, some of those things are inherent to who we are and who God created us to be. And I don't think God wants to turn us into these mindless robots that dress business casual and only talk or look a certain way or hang out with certain people. It like in a sense, right? God made you and uniquely wires you to be who you are and to be in those specific friend groups and the demographics you find yourself in, the places you find yourself in, right? So that you can reach those people or be a light, right? So I think, I think there's nuance to it.
Yeah.
And if anybody listening, we're not saying you gotta completely go one way or the other. But I think that's where, like we talked about in previous episodes, you just allow the Holy Spirit to lead and give you discernment and wisdom on like maybe what areas in your life you need to let go of or change, right?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I just wanted to touch on that.
So that's I think we all are gonna get to that point in our walk where it's like, okay, so I might need to cut certain things out. And that's just what it was. And I remember when I finally went back to him, he was at a barbershop in San Mateo. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, he back to normal.
Yeah.
I could rock with him again. Yeah. And then he opens up the barbershop. I start working. And then they start to like invite me to church. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm going to go. And I'll be like, yo, damn, you trying to go Shiloh? She's like, no, I'm good. So then like, I'm like, all right, I don't know when I'm going to go. And then I start meeting a couple people from Shiloh. Now I'm having conversation with them and like, you got Pastor Jules that's starting to come to the shop, some other people that are coming to the shop. And so like at this point, like me and them have had like conversations back and forth of like, hey, I want to go. No, I don't want to go. But I also at the same time, I'm having like regular conversations with Marcus and Terrell at this point. And I'll go to them like, I want to go. And she's like, no, like I'm not really ready to go. Like, I don't really feel like I want to go to the church. I'm like, all right. So then I'm like, I'm just going to stop having these conversations. Like, because now like you get kind of frustrated or you want to go and then time goes by. And then she's like, randomly one day, she's like, I think I want to go to Shiloh.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
Like, what? Like, you think you want to go to Shiloh? Like, we haven't talked about it.
Yeah.
So to go back to our other episode, Prayer Works, somebody was praying.
Yeah.
And Q and Terrell was probably praying.
Yeah.
For something to happen.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
She's like, let's go to Shiloh.
Yeah.
So like, we wake up, we go to Shiloh. It was a worship leader from Africa. His name is Sonny Badu. And he was leading worship.
Okay.
And this is now my second time in a Christian church.
Yeah.
And Shiloh is massive to me at the time.
Yeah.
Like I walk into this sanctuary and I'm like, there's so many people here.
Yeah.
And I walk in, they got cameras, like full like cameras. They got boom mics.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's a production.
I'm like, yo, this is every Sunday. Y'all got cameras on tracks. Like, this is wild.
Yeah.
So then worship starts, and I don't know if you ever been in an African worship setting.
It's different.
It was all the way up.
Yeah, it's different.
I was so shook.
Mm-hmm.
We watched
probably literally.
Bro, we watched back that service. Me and them, I don't know why we did this. We went, bro, we 3 rows up from the front.
3rd row.
Bro,
at the
in
African
the middle.
worship service.
We didn't even go to the right or the left. I said, we going front, 3 rows up. Because, you know, they got the pastors and stuff sitting in the front row.
Yeah.
And then the regular people sit in the 2nd row.
Right.
So then we was in the 3rd row.
Yeah.
Bro, my hands are on the pew. I'm so still during worship. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
We got people in the front swinging tissues in the front.
Yeah, you said I came from a Catholic church, Catholic background. This ain't.
There's low key twerking up there for the Lord.
Twerking for Jesus.
Bro.
I'm
like, I don't know what's going on. But also, it's borderline the greatest thing that I've ever seen. This is a full-blown concert.
Yeah.
And they went for it. Worship ends. Now, Pastor Pat comes up. I've never heard anybody preach a word like that before in my life. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, what he's talking about, I can relate. It's relatable now. Oh man, like, this is it. This is what it's supposed to be. And now I just have so many different emotions.
Yeah.
Like, I'm feeling like I got goosebumps at times. Like, it's getting hot. Like, oh man, like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, all the emotions. And go through service. As every service ends, they do a salvation call at the end. By this point, I'm like so overwhelmed by like the presence of God. Like, it was for the first time in my life, like, tangible. Like, it was so heavy and thick in the room. Like, my head's down. I'm like, tears. I don't know why I'm crying.
Yeah.
Salvation call. Like, if you want to give your life to the Lord, like, you just like shoot your hand up real quick. I'm like, I don't want to do it. But then there's like something that's like, no, like, raise your hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just shoot my hand up.
Wow.
Give my life to the Lord that day. I'm crying. Stand up. Super over. I look at them. And I'm like, I just gave my life to the Lord. She was like, me too.
Wow.
Wrecked.
Wow.
Wrecked. Like, we're talking, did not want to go.
Yeah. Man.
Push back the whole time. We get into the service, and I don't even know that she raises her hand because my eyes are closed and I'm like crying, and she's like, I get my life to the Lord too. Yeah. And that day, like, when my life completely shifted from that day. Like, that day, it was like, all right, we here, we coming. And our lives changed. Our lifestyle changed after that. And it was like, okay, we're going to make it a priority to be here.
Yeah.
So we was in there every week.
In East Oakland.
In East Oakland. East Oakland, bro. But yeah, gave my life to the Lord that day. And my life has never been the same.
Man, yeah, that's good.
Ever since that. And I mean, a whole bunch of stuff happened like right after that. Like, I wanted to get baptized. I think it was like a month or two after we got saved. I was like, I want to get baptized. So I took a baptism class. I got baptized. A couple months later, then gets baptized. And then should we get engaged after that? And then then it was like just the war started. I feel like we had a cool little period where it was like, hey, this is amazing. Like,
yeah,
nothing could go wrong. Yeah. I'm like, yes. And then the enemy was like, yeah. Let me let me try to get you away real quick.
Yeah.
So we get engaged, and I think at that point is when we first start having our like first real battles with like all of it. We had a whole bunch of people pass away. We had conflict amongst family, and the hardest part of all of it was, I think, the amount of people that passed away in that first year of like giving our life to Christ. It was so many people in such a short amount of time that I'm so thankful for the people that we were around. Like Q and Terrell, for me, were a cheat code when we got saved.
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately, we just got connected with so many amazing people.
Yeah.
We didn't have that. We didn't have the church experience where we come to a church, we don't know anybody, we have to find people. It was, oh, y'all know Q?
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, y'all not really? Cool.
Yeah, you guys have started building community. Yeah.
Oh, and then it's like the people that we meet out the gate is just some of the most incredible people I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
Like we're around some of the most prophetic people I've ever been around in my entire life.
Yeah.
Crazy anointed worship leaders, pastors. Like I say, like it was so crazy out the gate.
Yeah.
So all this is happening, but we have people that like allowed us to set like such a solid foundation that it rocked us, but also we were able to have a firm foundation and good teaching that saved us from completely running away.
Right. That's good.
So just a lot in that first year. And I think that first year, no one could ever tell me that like God is not real.
Yeah.
After that first year, it was like, I've tasted and seen too much for someone to be like, nah, that's not real. Like, nah, sorry. Like I've seen things that there is no other explanation but God. Yep. Like the reconciliation that has taken place in my family, can't nobody do that.
Right.
No human has the capacity to reconcile what has been reconciled.
Yeah.
Like that's only God. That's only a God thing, because only God has the ability to change your heart. Yeah. Like I might be able to change your mind for a second. I might be able to change your mind for a little bit, but I can't change your heart. Like if it has to do with the heart, that's only a God job. Right. So seeing that within that time frame just already solidified, like, okay, I'm in this for like the long haul. And there was times where it was like, hey man, I don't know if I could do it. Like just with the amount of loss. My stepdad passed, and that was the day where I was like, I think I'm done. Like, I think I'm done. And I remember that day, and I remember I was, so much faith. Like, me and them live in East Bay. We're driving. I'm like, nah. Like, we good. We gonna go in there. We gonna pray. It's good. Like, everything's gonna change. Yeah. Everything's gonna change. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna just lay my hand on his leg, and it's gonna be good. When that doesn't happen, you're like, I was crushed. So going back home, like, damn, like, why are we doing this? Like, why are we living set apart? Why are we living this life if like all of these people are just going to keep leaving and we just going to keep getting hit? So we get back to the apartment. I'm like, I'm done. Like legit done. Like I've withstood the storm at this point. The rain done came, everything.
And you prayed
the prayers. We're talking, this is the 8th person that passed away in 15 months. So I'm like, you know what? Like, no, I withstood the storm. I'm done.
Yeah. And I can only imagine, right? Like you knew we were on the faith journey. So you're praying, right? You're hearing, pray for your people. You're praying. And now it's like those prayers are unanswered.
And now you're like, okay, like what do I have to do? Because now I'm doing all the things. Right. I'm reading. Yeah. I'm praying. I'm worshiping. We're living this life that is set apart, is good. So I get back to them. I'm like, damn, I'm going to the store. I'm getting a bottle and it's done. Like I hadn't had a drink since. Like I'm not drinking at all. So I'm like, I'm done. And the moment that I say that to them and I'm going to go walk out the door. My phone rings and it's Pastor Jules.
Wow.
He's like, hey, Smart, how are you? I'm like, good. It's like, how are you? What do you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
He's like, also, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you, me and Lonnie are coming over right now. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
All right. Put the phone down, sat on the couch. Him and Lonnie come over.
Wow.
They come over for like, I don't know, 2 hours. And we just talk. And like the Holy Spirit worked in that moment because we're 30 seconds away from me walking out the front door. Jules saved my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like saved my spiritual life.
Yeah.
And bro, like again, that was another moment that completely changed the direction of where I thought I was going to go. And from that moment on, again, my life has never been the same. That was pivotal for me. Like that moment to see God show up in that moment when I felt like, okay, maybe he hasn't shown up.
I bet. Yeah.
So that was pivotal for me. And that's like a pillar. One of those moments where like you build an altar at that moment and you're like, okay, this is one of those times where like I can go back to that regardless of what's going on. I know that I can look back at that altar and be like, nope, he's faithful.
Yeah.
He's faithful. So that's kind of a little bit of the roadmap of like how we got here. But if none of that happened, I don't think we would have been at TFHSF.
Right.
Because we ended up walking through all of that stuff and having to fight the fights, which ultimately like put us in a position to where it was like, hey, I don't think we're going to be in this place anymore. And then ultimately making the move to SF, which now when I go back, I don't know if I would have done it the same way. I don't know if I would have left the same way. I think there was just some offense in there for sure. Like church hurt, but also God showed up in that and like spoke to me in that. Like we were offended at people and felt some type of way. And I just remember one day God being like, hey, you are mad at people and you're hurt by people and you've never expressed what you needed from them. You have unvoiced expectation and you mad and you want people to apologize to you.
Man.
He's like, you need to apologize to people because you mad at people. And I was like, dang it, God. So then like having to like have those conversations like, yo, I apologize. Like, because I didn't voice what I needed from you and all that. But all of that happened and what the enemy intended for bad.
Come on.
You know, like God turned it.
Come on. I'm not letting the fourth row. Come on.
God. Yeah. Like legit what the enemy intended for evil, man. God turned it for his good. Yeah. And ultimately he got the glory, which is really all of it. So
yeah.
But man, like that early walk, that early time at Shiloh, man, I'm so thankful for that, like for that foundation, because I am who I am because of that time.
Yeah.
And like I'm the worshiper that I am because of Shiloh.
Yeah.
I'm loud because of Shiloh. I know most people that go to church is gonna know my clap for sure because I clap loud. It's very like distinctive, but I got that clap from my best friend's dad, Pastor Steve, Pastor Stephen Sumner. Like he had the most distinct clap, and I'm like, I want that. The freedom that I have in worship is also came from that place. So a lot of how I maneuver in this journey is a testament to Shiloh and those people that I was around, and so many people that I could thank. They know who they are. That's kind of my story. I feel like I talked for so long right there.
Nah, man, this was good. I'm taking it all in. I didn't know all of this. There's some parts in it that I didn't know. So
it's
that story. I'm also now like, we got to get Demi on the podcast because you told a little bit about her journey, and now I'm like, we got to hear it straight from her. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, she doing like this right now. she doing like this right now.
Demi, if you're listening,
she gonna get.
She's in the room right now.
She gonna get on the pod.
I need you.
Yeah,
on the podcast.
I do think I've always said that though. I think that she has something to say and something to offer. And I think
I agree.
Her story and what she will say will have impact and resonate with people. Our story is not the same story.
Right.
So, yeah, like we might have gave our lives to Christ at the same time, but she's also walked through stuff that I've never walked through. Mm-hmm. And she's had to fight and overcome things that I've never had to fight and overcome. So I would love for her to sit on this couch, but I also would love for both of our wives, and I would love for Ati. So Ati, I would love for you to be on this couch as well, because I would love to hear your story. Yeah. So if you're listening, which I know you do listen, I would love to hear your story. Yes. So I feel like you have something that is impactful to say.
And Ati, I did not put him up to that. You know, it might sound like I did, but I did not. But you know what? Hearing that coming from you, she might actually listen. I think we were strategic just now.
Yeah, that was. Look at this. This is not scripted. Right. I don't got notes right now. So this was not talked about, but all that. Yeah. Feel like I rambled a little bit.
Not even. This
but I also got to share a little bit about my story. Yeah. But now I get to hear your story. So.
No, episode's over. That's it. We're done. That's a wrap.
Cut and paste. Beautiful.
You know, but before I jump in, I wanted to actually back up and first, thank you for sharing your story and being open and vulnerable and honest. I loved hearing that like version of your story, because as you were talking, I'm like starting to connect some dots, right? To maybe some things I knew versus what I didn't know. But there's like this theme in your story of like you mentioned early on, there was that moment where you felt like God was pursuing you. And then it's like, as you go further into your story, I can now see like how God was pursuing you, right? Through all of these different people who play such a major role. All of that was strategic. That's how God works, right? He works through his people, right? From literally every step you mentioned, right? The fact that you were slowly building community, and then you go through some of the hardest times in your life, and now you have that community to stand on, right? Yeah. And whether, you know, losing all the people that you mentioned that you lost, right? Whether that was an attack of the enemy, right? Like the fact that God was already kind of preparing you for what was to come to me just shows like his attention to detail, right? And I love hearing that. I also love hearing it's clear that people were praying for you, even if you didn't know it. Prayer really works, like, but it's important to have people praying for you. Yeah. It's also, as believers, it's important for us to pray for our loved ones and pray for those in our lives. That is the best thing you can possibly do for somebody, regardless of where they are in life. God hears prayers and he works through prayers, right? So, for me, I'm a product of that, and I've shared that in, a little bit, and I'll dive into my story a bit, but I just had to reiterate that I didn't want to breeze past the fact that somebody was clearly praying for you, right? People were clearly praying for you, and that's kind of what brought you to this journey, here, man. And
that's now it's like it's not one of those things where I think sometimes it can be like an empty statement, like, oh, I'm praying for you. Yeah. I'm praying for you. And I think because of our walk in our journey, I don't take that statement like lightly. So that like for me, it's like, oh yeah, I'm praying for you. Right. Like I'm going to pray for you, because if like people did that for me. Yeah. And now I'm here. Right. So I've seen the fruit of that, of like just praying for somebody. So literally pray for your people. Yeah. And pray for, pray for people that's not your people. Yeah. And just pray.
And keep praying. I'll say be persistent, because first of all, the Bible is clear about that. Jesus is clear about coming to God and continuing to pray, continuing to like persist in prayer. Yeah. And because sometimes the process is ongoing. Sometimes it's slow.
Yeah, for sure.
Our standards, right? I shared on previous episodes that my grandma was praying for 20 plus years before I really came to Jesus, right? Like that's a long time. I would have given up. I don't want to pray for 2 years. Yeah. I don't want to pray for 6 months. Right. Like what are we talking about? Right. Right. And so, persisting in prayer, continuing to pray is key, right? Don't give up. It's not that God is trying to string you along. It's not that he's absent. It's not that he doesn't hear you, but his timing is perfect. He knows what he's doing, right?
Exactly.
Your story, everything you alluded to, I can see God's hand in like the time, the way he did everything, right? If anything is like off by even a minute, right? Like your story is completely different. You know what I mean?
And it was literally like there was time in between stuff. Yeah, there was waiting. There is waiting. Right. I mean, even there's still prayers that I'm praying now that I've been praying since I gave my life to the Lord in like 2013. Yeah. There's still things that I'm praying.
Same.
There's still people that I'm praying for.
Right.
So just continue to pray those prayers and know that he's faithful and know that he's gonna see it through.
And I want to say too, specifically for the person that might be listening to this and is like, no, I've been praying for the same person, right? Especially as it relates to coming to know Jesus. God also doesn't override our free will. So while on the one hand, my grandma was praying for me for 20 plus years, God also was very aware that I was making my own decisions, doing what I wanted to do, living how I wanted to live. So while my grandma on the one hand is probably like, this is not working. On the other hand, God's like, nah, there's a few more lefts and rights and back steps that he has to make before he gets to this point, right? So God works through our free will. Like he's not going to override the freedom of choice that he's given us. That's one of the gifts he's given us, right? We all have the power to do exactly what we want to do, when we want to do it, how we want to do it, right? He wants us to choose him. Sometimes getting to that point takes longer than it does for others, right? So the encouragement there is just to keep praying for people because you just never know. Yeah.
He's going to keep knocking.
He's going to keep knocking. But yeah, man, let's my story.
Let's hear it. Come on now.
I grew up in the church. So I've always kind of had that foundation of who God is. And even at a young age, I would have told you I was a Christian, even though I was, when you mentioned your best friend growing up who said he was a Christian, but when you see him, like he's not living that way. Like that was me. I thought you was talking about me for a minute, bro. I'm like, damn, you didn't have to put me on blast like that. Yeah. It was you, right?
It was you, bro. I seen you when I was at Shiloh. I seen you. No,
right. Yeah, no, that was me, man, because I was like from the moment I was born, I was in it because my mom had just gotten saved. So my mom was the newly saved person, right? So by the time I was born, I'm already immersed in church, right? And my mom was a single mom, and so I was with her primarily. I was raised by her primarily. My dad was kind of in and out of the picture. So you know what mom says goes. My mom's from East Oakland too, where I know you know a little bit about East Oakland going to Shiloh. So,
little time in East Oakland.
You know, I wasn't about to go against what mom said.
It's a good decision.
So
it's a good decision.
So yeah, you know, like I said, she said we're at church on Sunday. We're at church on Sunday. Again, we're like whether I wanted to be there or not. And a lot of times as a kid, like I didn't want to be there. I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
I think I had the fundamentals down. I knew about prayer. I had heard all the Bible stories because I was in Sunday school and all of that at the different churches we were at. But the Sunday service, worship, people, like you said, like going crazy during worship, falling out, all of those things, speaking in tongues. Like, I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah.
This is very weird. I don't get it at all. But I'm still there, right? And one of the first churches I attended, I'm actually like serving, like as a kid, like I'm watching like the older guys do the sound production, right? So I would actually be in the back behind like the audio with them, so right. So I started like actually like serving, and then once I kind of learned it a bit, they would actually let me do certain things on Sunday, and so I'm like 9, 10, 11, 12, and I'm helping run the audio for us. And it's a small church, right? Yeah. It's not like where we are now, but I'm helping like run the audio, things like this, right? So I'm involved. My mom was also like a strong woman of God. So even outside of being at church on a Sunday or during the week for like a weeknight service, I'm seeing my mom live it out. So I'm seeing her pray and worship and read her Bible and play the gospel music in the house. But I also see her discipling other people, right? As she gets deeper in this walk, I see her meeting with other young women or girls, kind of mentoring them. I hear her on the phone praying for people. I am seeing what it's like on a Sunday, and I'm also seeing somebody actually live that lifestyle for real. But it's still weird. It's like, I respect you for doing this, and at least you're consistent, but it's still weird. And at the time, you let's paint the picture. Like I'm born in 92, right? So as I'm coming of age in the late 90s, early 2000s, like, it's also just not cool to be Christian. I think it's funny. We live in a day and age now where Christianity is almost kind of become cool a bit.
Yeah.
Or it's not as, I would say, clowned or frowned upon.
Yeah.
If you tell somebody you go to church,
Yeah.
right? It's not as difficult to like talk about your faith openly now.
It's a little trendy now, though.
It's a little trendy now, and I don't know if that's good or bad.
I mean, I'm okay with it being trendy.
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, you can only fake it for so long. You can only fake being in the presence for so long before you get smacked by the Holy Spirit.
Oh, preach.
So I'm like, yeah, cool. You can play with it if you want to.
Preach.
Go ahead.
And I'll say this on the positive side, right, of it being trendy. I'll say, like, if people are coming to Jesus truly because of, you know, it being more trendy, then so be it. That's a win. Right. So
yeah.
But I mean, you remember how it was back in those like late 90s, early 2000s, mid 2000s, right? Like it wasn't cool.
Yeah.
So going back to your friend that you mentioned who was living differently outside of church, that was me, because I was like, it wasn't, I was almost ashamed of it, if I'm honest. Like I'm not like, it's not like none of my friends are going to church with me.
Right.
So like literally like my best friends that I grew up with, none of them, their families don't go to church. And if they do, they don't go to my church, right? So I don't see them on Sundays, right? So like I'm already an only child, right? Like I mentioned. So it like I feel very isolated already. So when I'm around my friends, I'm just trying to do what my friends are doing.
Right.
I'm trying to like fit in with them. I'm trying to listen to the music they're listening to, dress how they dress, all of the things, talk like they talk. We're not talking about Jesus or church or what we talked about on Sunday, right? Like that's not the conversations we're having. So I lived that double life almost, that dichotomy of, on Sunday, I'm good, I'm serving, I'm at church, right? Mom thinks I'm, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A saint of a child. Yeah. And not that I was a bad kid. Like I don't think I ever like, my story is not like that to where I was just wreaking havoc. Like I wasn't getting into crazy trouble, nothing like that. But I don't look like a Christian. I look like the world, right? Like I'm cussing, I'm listening to the same music, I'm getting into what my friends are getting into. Like I'm not like I'm no different than
not set apart.
I'm not set apart, right? And so I mentioned my mom was just on fire for God and really living it out. And it's beyond Sundays. Like I see her at home. I see her pray. I see her in her word. So there's very much so like regardless of what I'm doing, regardless of, my faith or lack thereof, or how, poorly I'm living it out, I'm confident that mom's got it. Yeah. So there's also this interesting thing of you kind of relying on mom's faith because you see she's so strong.
Yeah, yeah.
And then again, like I said, I'm a kid. I'm seeing all of this in a time in our society where there was a lot of unknowns. So again, you remember Y2K, 2000. Everybody thought the world was gonna shut down. Yeah. And then 2001, we obviously have 9/11, major moments. And I'm a kid. I'm 9 years old when 9/11 happens, right? And so I don't know if you experience this or if you remember this, but I remember like post Y2K, post 9/11, there's all this talk about, oh, Jesus coming back soon, and especially in church circles, right? About the rapture. And I think that movie Left Behind came out, right? So like there's all of these, I'm like, the world's gonna end soon. I'm a kid. I'm like, am I ever gonna get to grow up, right? And then there's like that existential crisis. Like, again, I'm immersed in church. I hear about heaven and hell. Like, where am I going? Because I can't really fully say that I know I haven't been living this out. And I remember, man, these are like actual thoughts. I remember being so confident in my mom's faith that I was like, well, cool. As long as mom's here, I'm good. Because I know she's going to guide me. I know she's going to lead me. I know if the rapture happened tomorrow, she's going to be going. I might be left behind. But let me just stay close to her. And so I remember like when I would have I would legit have like dreams and visions of like the world ending and like there being like this like left behind moment like that movie. And so I wake up out of bed like, oh, mom's still here? Good. Because I know, again, I'm confident in her faith. So if she's still here, and I'm good. Jesus ain't came back yet. Yeah. There was very much so this version of me that was like relying on mom's faith, right? I knew as long as she had it, like I'm good, right? And again, I mentioned like being a kid and it's not really being cool, right? Like this is what moms do. My dad's not really in the picture and I know he's not living this lifestyle, so maybe it's not even for me. Maybe just let mom have it, right? She'll keep praying for me. Like grandma have it, she'll keep praying for me. Fast forward, me getting a little bit older, and finding out some things about the church that I grew up in that laid the foundation for me. That church ends up closing. Find out like the pastor's a complete fraud, scammer, all of the things. I won't go into too much detail right now, but that was a big blow to my faith. And then around the same time, my mom is diagnosed with cancer. And you know the story if you've been listening for a bit. I lost my mom when I was 16. She would end up succumbing to that. And it's at that point where my worst fears now come true. I mentioned being a kid and like relying on mom's faith. And mom's still here, I'm good. Now mom is not here.
Wow.
Like the one person that I kind of relied on is gone. And now my faith is to your point, you mentioned that you were just done. I was done because again, I grew up in the church so much like you, like my mom got sick. I'm praying for her. I got all the faith. Like she's going to be good. She's going to get through this. Like God sees me. He hears me. He knows my situation. My mom is all I have. My dad's not really in the picture. He would never take my mom from me. Like this is literally all I have. And then she's gone.
Yeah.
And every prayer I've ever prayed, was it fake?
Yeah, wow.
Like mom's going, this God that I've always learned about didn't answer these prayers. The church I grew up in folds, pastor was a fraud. Was all of this a lie?
Wow.
That's where I'm at.
At
mentally.
16.
At 16. Yeah. That's where I'm at mentally. And when I look back now at age 32, I can trace back God's hand even then. And it's because of those moments that I say that I have faith I have now. But at 16 and 17, like now I'm done.
Yeah.
Grandma's here and she's still encouraging me and praying. And I halfway think she's weird for that because this mom that I lost is her daughter. Like, what are you like? Why are you still, you know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? Like, why do you still have this faith?
Just one of those things where like she continued to pray, but also you were at a point where you hadn't had some of them altars yet.
Mm-hmm.
And like Graham's already seen the faithfulness of God despite.
Yeah.
So like you looking at it like, bro, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
He's like, man, I don't already seen the faithfulness of God.
Yeah, man.
You don't know yet.
That's exactly it.
Dang.
And I credit my grandma with a lot of, honestly, my journey and me being the man I am today because she was the one praying, right? Like my mom laid that foundation, but she only had me till I was 16. It was my grandma that kind of continued, was praying at the same time while I was growing up, but also kind of like, it was like a passing of the baton. Like my grandma continued that. And it's weird because at the time when I'm 16, 17, I'm so hurt. I'm so traumatized by what I've been through. I'm not even stopping to think about how my grandma feels. She just lost her child.
Yeah, wow.
But she's so focused on me. She actually ended up becoming my legal guardian after my mom died. So she's like literally like focused on making sure I'm good raising me now. And so I go my own way. You know, I'm still half in, half out. I think funny enough, I still default to like certain aspects of my faith. And what I mean by that is like, I don't know if I ever like completely gave up praying, even though I was mad at God and I went through those seasons of being mad at the world, being pissed at God. Definitely went through seasons where I gave up on prayer altogether. But there would always be like a moment in my life that, you know, kind of like we do, right? Whenever we have a hurdle in life or something, we end up crying out to God, right? So there was always moments that kept kind of bringing me back, but then I drift away again. I would say the biggest thing that was a struggle for me was like pride and ego and kind of being self-centered, being all about myself, also struggling with lust and pornography at the time. And so for me, I'm like, I'm gonna live how I want to live, cope how I want to cope. Like nobody can tell me anything about how to get through this because nobody's been in my shoes.
Yeah,
right?
you justify it.
You right. And too, I think like so often is the case with people when they go through traumatic things. You feel isolated. You feel like you're the only one in the world that knows how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like nobody else is going through what you've been through, right?
Just you.
It's just me.
It's just me.
It's just me. And I would say at this time in my life, like that was somewhat of a reality because nobody in my immediate family or immediate circle had experienced what I experienced, right? Outside of my dad lost his mom when he was 9 years old. And so if dad was around, maybe I would have known how to cope through things.
Don't do that.
But also maybe he didn't really cope and heal from what he's been through, which probably is where some of the daddy issues come from.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm going off.
You gonna do part 3?
I'm going off on a tangent right now. We're not going to go that far. This is not an episode. But I relate a lot to what you said about having people around you, because after my mom dies, like I mentioned, I moved in with my best friend and his family. My best friend, Matt Lewis, and his older brother, Blake Lewis. I call them my brothers because I grew up with them, and then their family took me in. Blake Lewis Sr. and Alicia Lewis, I've shouted out before.
Yeah.
The Lewis family, I owe like a great deal to. That's my adopted family now, and they took me in after my mom died. And again, I relate to what you said about people having God strategically putting people in your life, because that was what God did for me through them, because they're strong believers. Coincidentally, I move in with them, and they're avid churchgoers. So I'm still going to church
Sundays.
I'm still somehow
ain't got away from the Sundays.
I'm still going to church on Sundays, and at this point we're getting older. We're teenagers, so they kind of let us go on our own as long as we show up. But being teenagers, we not we stepping out. We're not going every Sunday again. Like it's still kind of on us, right? So even though God's still clearly pursuing me at this point, putting people around me, like I'm very half in, half out. And then I get I graduate high school. Now I leave their house. I end up living with my grandma for a little bit, which again, another strategic point, because I'm living with grandma now for about a year after high school. And, I'm legally an adult. I'm grown. So she gives me like the leeway. I love my grandma. She wasn't like super strict or on me, but still encouraging me to come to church on Sundays. And every now and then I would, but very much so again, like in and out. And then I move out on my own age 20. And now I'm like,
freedom.
Yeah. And at the time also, I also moved in with my girlfriend at the time. Now my wife, I moved in with Ati. We moved in together. And why am I going to church on a Sunday? I'm also in a new city. This is when we moved to San Francisco because we went to school out here. This is like the furthest I've ever been from God. And
at this point, does Ati have a framework for?
Yeah.
Okay. So like she knows Jesus at some level.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's good. And we got to have her on here too to share her story. But much like me, she was also raised in church a bit. She, also raised single mom and lived with her mom and her grandma at one point. Her grandma to this day also, shout out to her grandmother. We call her Nana affectionately. Another strong woman of God. Funny enough, they actually went to the same church that the Lewis family I told you about went to in Vallejo Revival Center. Shout out to the Revival Center in Vallejo. So yeah.
So you guys both had a foundation.
Yeah. So had a foundation. Had been in church. Been in church circles, Sunday school, youth, and all of that. Right. So definitely both had that foundation, which is why I say I'm also blessed to have experienced what you experienced and not having to go through a season where we're together in this relationship and one of us is getting closer to Jesus and the other one's completely far off. Like, nah, like it happened like about the same time too, which is a crazy, I think, coincidence for us, but also just a testament to how God works. And I'll get into that. But so she definitely had a framework. So, but again, we're young, early 20s, doing our own thing. Like it's not even so much us like living like crazy and like deep in some kind of like, crazy lifestyle, but it's just, we're far from God. We're not going to church. We're living together. We're not married. We're having sex, all the things that come with that. Right. So it's like, we're just not, we're not on this journey. Even then, if you would have asked me if I was a Christian, I probably still would have said yes because of the foundation. Yeah. Because of what mom and grandma instilled in me, right? Going back to that boy who kind of cling to mom's faith a bit. And even as I say that, I feel like that's also what God did through the work of, or through the process of me losing my mom. Not that he caused it. And I've had this conversation with people before. I think we touched it on this episode or on this show. Not that God caused it, but what the enemy meant for evil, God meant for good. And there's something about me losing my mom and losing the ability to cling to her faith that God worked through. And I'll get to that, but there was this very real moment where like God became real for me.
Yeah.
It was no longer about my mom's faith or even my grandma's faith or her prayers. It's me and you now.
Yeah. It's not your mom's faith anymore. It's your faith.
Yeah, man. And so, yeah, kind of going back to my story. So, Auntie and I living together, far from Jesus. And, man, we just get to a point, and I'll speak for myself. I want her to share her story and be on here. But I get to a point where I'm just wandering through life, right? Like, I'm checking the boxes, right? Like, I go to college, I finish college, I graduate with my degree, right? So, on paper, I look like I'm checking the boxes, right? Like, but wandering, and especially after college when I didn't really get the dream job like I thought I would, like they preach to these kids going into school. Let me not go off too far on a tangent, but was trying to figure out what's next. Now I'm like kind of wandering through life, no guidance, no direction. Drinking. I mean, not I don't know if it was ever like an alcohol problem, but like drinking, smoking weed, doing all of the things, right? Still trying to cope. Yeah. I still at this point haven't really healed from what I've been through. Like I said, struggling with pornography, all of these things that I'm like, just coping. This is life, and that's the thing too. Like at these points in my life, like I don't even think anything is wrong,
right?
Because it's not to the point of addiction and it's ruining my life. This is just what I default to. Like I'm gonna have a drink a couple times a week. I'm smoking weed every day. You know what I mean? If whether it's porn, that might be an everyday thing or here and there, but like it's normal. Everybody that I'm around at this point is doing the same things, right? Because now I'm in the world. I'm out of college. I'm working, right? So I'm having coworkers like we out drinking together, right? Like we smoking weed together, like on break, right? On workout, right? So like I'm not nothing is even wrong. But then I get to this point where I'm like just drifting, and I feel empty. I feel like I'm wandering. I've done all the coping I can do, and I still feel the same.
Just unsatisfied,
yeah. And then to the point where Auntie and I's relationship is bad. Like we almost don't make it out of the season that we're in, right? Like we're not good. We're not communicating. We're going through the motions. And I made some decisions that legit almost like ruined everything. Getting to that point, I would say was the catalyst, right? Like I don't have, like I mentioned before, some crazy story that, addicted to drugs and God radically freed me. Like no, it was just wandering, feeling empty, almost losing the most important person in my life, like not knowing what direction I'm going in, not knowing what the plan is, having no routine or structure because I wanted to do things my way. But now I'm like, what are we doing? Right.
That was your bottom.
That was my bottom. Yeah. Like that was it. And I just remember, and it wasn't a moment. It wasn't somebody preaching to me. I remember feeling just low, being at home in our apartment alone. I think IT was probably working or something. And I just remember getting on my knees and praying and crying and not knowing why I'm crying. But it's weird because, again, there's nobody that comes up to me and starts discipling me, and nobody invited me to church. It was like I went back to my default of, like I said, growing up, being immersed in it, but also having a praying mom and grandma. I'm at the point now where I'm wondering, and I don't know what I'm doing in life. Let me pray and hope that this God out there knows better than I do. And all I can really say is that he met me in that moment. You talked about experiencing the presence of God in Shiloh when you first go to church. I had that feeling in my apartment living room by myself. And I can't really explain it to you, but I just know that, like I said, I'm crying for no reason. I feel this heaviness, but this peace at the same time. And I'm praying. And that, I do that once, and then that develops into, trying to pray again. And that develops into me downloading the YouVersion Bible app on my iPhone. Yeah. And I'm reading scriptures here and there. Again, because I had the foundation, which is why I always credit my mom and grandma. Because I had the foundation, I did know kind of where to turn and how to get back a bit. Man. Yeah. They dropped in breadcrumbs, right? I knew how to get back, right? So now I'm reading the Bible, and again, I'm still not living a perfect life. I'm still messing up. I'm still sinning. But I'm starting to not wander, but maybe now even veer towards God as opposed to away, right?
It's the Proverbs 22:6. Yeah. Direct your children unto the right path.
Yeah, man.
And when they are older, they will not leave it. Like your story, like is that.
Yeah.
to me. Like to have your mom and your grandmother and even the Lewis family like going, hey, no matter what, we're going to be in church on Sunday.
Right.
Hey, you're going to see your mom pray. You're going to see your mom disciple people.
Yeah.
The Lewis family's going to bring you to church.
Right.
It's like there was nothing else that you were going to be able to default to.
Right.
Because that's already what they had instilled in you. Yeah, when you were talking, I'm like, man, that's it. Like, raise up your kids in the ways of the Lord. Like,
and that's one of my favorite verses for that reason because I'm a product of that. Like the fact that I'm sitting on your couch right now talking to you about faith, and we have this podcast talking about Jesus. That's a testament to the foundation that my mother and my grandmother laid, training up a child in the way they should go. And I love that because the more I've studied that verse, and you know, I think there's this misconception that, you know, it's saying that if you raise your children right, they'll never, ever depart or veer or sin. No, that's not the case. But God is faithful and he knows how to tug on hearts and to bring his kids back. Like we talked about earlier, we're human. God was going to let me make all my little choices.
Right.
But all my little choices, he worked through and turned me back to him.
Yeah, I just love that where you were going. Like, I didn't have it figured out. But like I was moving on a path and like he was lighting that path. Like you said, I'm gonna make mistakes, but ultimately like now there's some direction.
Yeah. And I think it's clear that he's pursuing me even when I'm not pursuing him.
It's good.
Even now as a dad, that's why I'm adamant about being in church every Sunday. That's why I'm adamant about praying for my daughter, but praying with her. She's 2.5 years old, but we already praying together. Right. She's in church every Sunday, right? Unless we out of town, she's in church, right? And it's not because I'm trying to stick to religion or rules. It's like, no, I know how pivotal that was.
Come on.
For me. If it wasn't, like I don't know that I'm anywhere near, and God is good. He can work through any way, however he wants. But I don't know that I'm like on this journey at all if it wasn't for the foundation that my mom and grandma laid, because I told you I'm all about me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Growing up and regardless, and at the same time, I'm also very like to myself. Like I've never really been like, I've always kind of been like a loner. Like I'm fine being by myself. Like to this day, like I have community, I have friends, right? I have family, loved ones. I have you guys, right? Like, but I'm also like, I'm perfectly fine. Like, you know, people are like, oh, it's weird I'm perfectly fine being by myself. I go to a restaurant by myself. Go get a cup of coffee. Like I'm cool. Like it's not weird for me. So for me,
it's a little bit weird.
Say no, you're weird, bro.
Like I'm not gonna lie. Go grab a bite to eat solo.
I've done that. I've legit gonna
you go to the movies by yourself too, huh?
Not the movies. That's where I draw the line.
Okay.
The movies is where I draw the line.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That's
the movies, and I don't, you know what I mean? We got some friends that go to the movie solo, so I don't wanna
you gotta I don't even know. Bro, like yeah. Anyways, that's we love you.
But like my point with that is like I might not ever have community and be all right.
Right.
Right. So like it truly is to me like a testament to the foundation that God laid through my mom and my grandma that I'm here. Right. And so yeah, man. And so there's not, you know, there wasn't some major moment. It was God meeting me solo. And the reason I think that's even so pivotal and to me it's profound is because like my foundation for faith and for who God is was through the lens of my mom and my grandma. Now I'm having to make a decision on my own. Like, is this real?
Yeah, I think that's so good.
Yeah, like, is this real? Were they right the whole time? Right? But what about the church hurt? And you said the church was it folded and the pastor was a fraud. But I saw my mom at home outside the church. I saw her praying and crying out and in her word, right? So regardless of what the church did, that I know that was real. You know what I mean? So then it's like, okay, am I going to keep going? Am I going to keep praying? I know that God just met me in this apartment living room. Am I going to keep going? Am I going to keep reading the word? Okay, what do I have to lose? Let me keep reading the word. I'm reading devotionals. I'm in this, like I said, I'm in this Bible app. I'm reading devotionals. I'm reading different scriptures and Now I'm on YouTube searching up sermons because now I'm kind of missing church now. Like now it's like something flipped. I'm like, man, I kind of miss what it was like going to church growing up. Simultaneously, we don't even have a conversation. Ati and I are still living together. We don't even have a conversation about it. One day, randomly, we're both just like, man, I want to go to church. I think we should go to church. I think she said it actually to me, and
the wives, man,
that was such a blessing because, like, again, we were at a point in our relationship where we weren't even like really communicating well. So I didn't even know. There's like a blur during those times in just our lives and our walk, where like, I couldn't even tell you what she was going through mentally because we were just so kind of closed off from one another. So I didn't even know that like she was kind of secretly on this journey too. She was praying. She was reading her Bible. She had downloaded the Bible app on her phone. She's reading devotionals. She's watching sermons on YouTube. Right? I don't even know at the time. So it gets to a point where it's like, okay, we should go to church. And now it's just like, yeah, I think we should. So like now we're literally like the moment that I stepped foot into a church, not connected to my mom or grandma or family, was with Ati. Like we started going back to church together.
Wow.
And that's to me such a blessing because again, we talked about like there's people in relationships, marriages that like that's not the case. And so I don't take that lightly. I thank God. That's glory to God that he allowed that for us. And I'm forever grateful because we were on this journey from jump. Like once we got serious about this journey, we were on it together, like all in. Yeah. There was never a point where like one of us was behind one another or in front or even debating on if we should keep coming. Like, nah, like we were on this journey together. And sure, like there were Sundays where we're like, one of us like, I'm not going today. Other one's like, well, I'm going to go. Right there, it wasn't perfect, but like being on this journey together early on, I think was amazing. And again, it was definitely a blessing. So, we started trying different churches in San Francisco and ended up walking into this church one Sunday called the Father's House San Francisco. And the rest is history.
Come on.
The rest is history, man. And, being there, building community from jump. And I think that was another thing too. I love that you touched on community because God put this craving in both of our spirits. Like when we started going to looking for a church, we both said to one another in conversation, like, hey, when we find the place, like, let's actually get involved. Like, let's actually meet people. Like, let's not just sit on the sidelines and just casually attend because both of us had done that growing up.
Right.
I knew what it's like to casually attend, to kind of just, whatever, checking the box. But now being on this journey and being renewed, it's like, nah, something's different. Like, let's actually find friends who are on this journey. Because that was the other thing. We're now both on this journey and trying to get closer to God, but none of our friends, co-workers, peers, none of that, people that we hang out with, none of them are on this journey. None of them. So that was hard because now we're at a point where it's like, we want to talk about these things with our friends. We want to be, we want to live how God's called us to live. We want to like be on this journey, but like none of the people closest to us are on this. So that was hard because like we felt like we didn't have any friends to talk to, kind of be on this journey with. I think in a roundabout way, it was a blessing in disguise because it caused us to clean together a bit more because we're the only ones that we know that are on this journey. But we prayed together like, hey, God, give us friends and community. Give us friends who are also Christian and are on this journey that we can walk with.
Thank you, God.
Like we prayed for that. And it happened, man. Like God answered that prayer. Again, we walk into this church called the Father's House San Francisco. And from the jump, day one, people are introducing themselves to us, asking our names. I meet this dude named Smart on the front steps.
Thank you, God.
Of the church, right? And it like from jump, like God was faithful to answer that prayer of, man, help us to get plugged in, let us get involved. So yeah, we took initiative. We started doing all the things, serving, getting involved, making sure people knew our names, but also really wanting to meet people. And God answered that prayer. And to this day, I can say, it's 7 years in now. Like God has been faithful in giving us that community.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, man. So, but yeah, we started going to the church and it's there that I got baptized. And you know the story. And I think you mentioned it before. I actually got baptized and then proposed because again, we're still dating, still living together. Like I said, we still in process. We still, God was still working on us. But I get baptized. I proposed the same day on stage at church. Shout out to Pastor Tim Biddle, who that guy let me do that.
Yeah.
Actually was half his idea, which that's a whole other story.
That makes sense.
That's a whole other story. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
it was
But that makes sense
scary
to me.
But yeah.
It just seemed like a very bitter thing to do.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But
it was an amazing moment.
Yeah, man, it's still surreal all these years later.
That goes down in church history, bro.
Man, it's still surreal all these years later. We got the video. We might have to put the video on Instagram or something. But yeah, I get baptized. I propose. We're engaged. We're trying to live life the right way now. Ati gets baptized like the next month. I get the privilege of baptizing her, which again, such a full circle moment because like I said, our relationship is experienced. Like we've experienced everything you could think of. And by the grace of God, we're here and we're stronger than ever and we're together. But at the enemy had his way, we wouldn't be. So the fact that I got to baptize her after almost losing her was like
nothing like it.
Man.
Nothing like it.
And yeah, man, that was it. So again, there was no like kind of major catalyst. I like to tell people like I just hit like a spiritual and a mental rock bottom. And because of the foundation that my mother and my grandmother laid, because of their persistent prayers for years, I knew where to turn because of what they did. And so I can't stress out enough how important it is to pray for your people and to keep praying.
Yeah.
I was 26 when I fully recommitted my life to Christ. Got baptized on my birthday weekend, turning 27. So age 26, 27 years, like my grandma was praying.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, my mom had been praying for 16 years. My grandma was praying the whole time. And she didn't give up. And now like the fruit of that is God doing the work in my life.
Yeah.
Right. And I thank her for that. Not only does she get the fruit of the answered prayers, but she gets my forever gratitude because like I wouldn't be here. Like she's the reason, her and my mother, the reason, like you mentioned, you tasted and you seen, like they were the reason for me that I tasted and I've seen, right? So yeah, man, that was the long version.
That's good. You said something when God met you. You're like, it's not anything that's like crazy or is big, but you said I had to meet him. Like God had to meet me alone. And like I was alone because I clung to my mom and my grandmother.
Yeah.
And it was God meeting me by myself. And I was just thinking like God is so good. And one, he knows who we are.
Yeah.
Like he created us.
Yeah.
Right? He knew how you needed to be met.
Right.
And I think I think that's so impactful because I think like God will meet people exactly how they need to be met.
Yeah.
Like you needed for it to be solo.
I did. I'll say this, man, and I think I mentioned it on a previous episode when, my mom dies, my dad's not really around, stepdad moves out, right? Like I told you before, I felt alone. I felt like everybody that I love left me.
Yeah.
And yeah, because my prayers weren't answered and I prayed diligently for my mom to be healed and that didn't happen. And now I'm like, okay, this God that I thought was real, he left me here. He did this. He left me alone. But to your point, God knew that that's also like how I would hear him best.
Yeah.
He met me where I thought he left me. I thought he left me alone. I thought he completely like left me to fend for myself. And when I got to the end of myself, was at this rock bottom, very much so feeling alone again. That's where he showed up.
Come on. Yeah. And I that was one of those things where I constantly will be just in awe of God because he met me, I feel like exactly how I needed to be met. Like you alluded to like, I'll be okay by myself. Like I'm cool. I could be at the crib. I go to get coffee by myself, whatever. Like I'm so extroverted. Like I am all about people.
You're like, I need some people around me. Yeah.
Right. And I got like, he met me ultimately in one of the most hectic environments.
Right.
The barbershop.
Yeah.
Like,
but through people.
Yeah. That I needed those people. Like he knew, like, hey, like I'm gonna use, like he used the right person.
Right. And I was gonna mention that too, right? Like you mentioned like your love for people, being around people, but you also mentioned Q, who played a major role in your faith journey. This is somebody you already had a relationship with and you saw his journey.
Yeah.
You said you kind of looked up to him. It's like big bro.
Yeah.
Right.
And then there's like this moment where I'm like, it was just crazy that like God used this person that I did, like I looked up to so much, for it to come back and then God be like, nah, this is the person that like I'm going to use, and this is the environment, because it was the perfect environment for me to be able to have those conversations in a busy place. It wasn't like I would have been super awkward in a intimate, like, hey, it's just going to be like a one-on-one conversation. Or at the time, I wasn't good with just sitting still. Like you being like, hey, I'm in this room and I'm by myself and I'm crying. Like I didn't like quiet. Yeah. Like now I appreciate quiet, because now it's like, oh no, now I can be intentional and I can really like spend time with God and like hear him. But I didn't like quiet at that time. It was super awkward for me. So like just that in itself was like, no, he met me exactly how I needed to be met.
Yeah, man, that's so good.
And I think he does that for people. Like he's gonna meet you exactly where he's supposed to meet.
Yeah, like the Bible speaks to the fact that God, I mean, the scripture says he knew us before he formed us in our mother's womb, right? He saw us there. Like he knows us intimately, infinitely, every detail. Like, here's the thing. Like, I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or what, but I appreciate like just the beauty of outside a lot more now. Like I'm the guy that'll stop and take a picture of like a wildflower just growing. We took, I think I told you earlier, we took Zoe, my daughter, to the zoo today for the first time. And I'm looking at these animals and I'm just in awe like her. I'm like, dang, God snapped when he made the zebra. Like, you see those stripes? Like, you see, that's HD. You see those stripes? But the fact that the Bible says that heaven and earth, like he created heaven and earth and they're in his hands, right? Like when you really stop and look at creation, like just go outside, look at the sunset. Yeah. The level of detail.
Oh yeah.
That's in all of that. Yeah. The level of detail on a wild flower, like the California poppies that are springing up right now. And the Bible says, like, if he cares so much about those, how much more does he care about us? Right? And to your point, like, we got to understand that God knows us best. He knows how to reach his people. Going back to our point about, or our episode around evangelism and even repentance, like, this is also why we can't force certain situations. Like, just be a human being and share what God did for you. Share the love of Jesus. Be yourself, like we talked about earlier. You don't need to like force an agenda on somebody. Like, invite their friend to church, but like just be yourself, who God's uniquely wired you to be, because that's what people around you need. Yeah. You know what I mean? And when it comes to people that we're praying for, we got to trust that like God knows them the way he knew how to meet you and I, and they were completely different. Yeah. God knows how to meet each and every person that we're praying for.
I think too, like it might not be in that, like in that moment of like, oh, I gave my life to the Lord. Like, I think there are moments that you're going to have with God that might be a little farther on your walk. Yeah. And like, that's the moment. Cause I don't want it to be like, oh, you have to have a moment like with God to say yes. Like that might not be the case. Yeah. But I do think that you are going to have a moment. Yeah. Like there are going to be moments where you're like, oh, I needed God. Yeah. Exactly like that to show up exactly like that.
Exactly. Like I mentioned in my story, like it wasn't like a church altar call and I'm going down, raising my hand, crying. Like, nah, like by the time I'm stepping foot in church, I've been reading, praying, watching sermons now for a few months. And I'm like, I already consider myself a believer. I've already given my life to Christ. I said the prayers and things like that. Right. So there wasn't this public moment outside of me getting baptized. I think that was like me really solidifying things, but like there wasn't like some major moment. It was just like just praying in a room.
Yeah.
Right? In an apartment that is somewhere in San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
Like that's it. And to that point, I think that's exactly it. Like there doesn't have to be some kind of major moment or thing, but because God can meet you anywhere, everywhere, however you need to be met. And I think we're a testament of that. I think the people that are in our community, our friends and family that are on this journey, our loved ones on this journey, like they'll all tell you the same thing. Like, nah, God met me exactly how he needed to meet me, to reach me. He knew how to reach me. He knew how to connect with me. He knew how to resonate. He gave me the grace I needed when I didn't come right away. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Still giving me the grace that I need. Right. But yeah, I think he's ultimately, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I think all we can do is, as believers, is acknowledge like the goodness and the faithfulness, and that like he did a work in me that
same.
I don't know. I mean, I would have never been able to figure me out.
Right. Same, man. And like you mentioned earlier, there's no convincing me that God's not real. And it has nothing to do with like what you can tell me. It's what I have seen. Mm-hmm. Like, I know I didn't change my life. I told you I was wandering, trying to figure it out. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I know I didn't heal myself from or set myself free from addiction and toxic cycles. Like, I know I didn't heal myself from the loss of my mom and all that. Like, I know I didn't just wake up one day and say, oh, I'm going to be a Christian now and I'm going to start a podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I didn't just start, like, these habits and these routines and these things that are part of this life and this walk now, they weren't me.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it to you, but I know they weren't me. And I know that it was God who answered prayers, not just mine, but people praying for me. Like, when I think about my story, when I think about it all, like the faithfulness of God, what he's brought me through my entire path, everything we talked about, I see the hand of God. I see someone orchestrating it, ordering it.
Yeah.
When I hear your story, like I see the hand of God. Like I talked about, I could see God was pursuing you. Sure, you didn't see it at the time. I didn't see it at the time in my own my own walk, but
now that it is, it's like, like because I know, and we talked about this before, like I know like my thinking pattern and my thought pattern. And it's like, okay, now if this is like my life right now is the opposite of what I would want to be doing.
Come on.
Like this is not what I would want to be doing.
Yeah.
Like I didn't think that I would be in front of a microphone talking about Jesus.
Man, come on.
If you told me that, like you told my at 18, like tell Smart at 18, hey bro, I want you to know, in your 30s, you're going to be talking about Jesus. I'm like, you would know. Sorry.
Bro, don't get me started.
That's not, like, no.
If you would have told 16, 17-year-old me that I'd be on a microphone talking about Jesus at somebody's church and serving, like,
no.
Nah, you don't know me.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not, if it was up to me, this would not be the life that I'm living out.
Yeah. And to be real, like, it's not something I wanted.
Yeah.
Like if we just being honest for a sec, like again, we talked about like the foundation that was there. We talked about people pursuing or God pursuing us through people, other people praying. Like, you take me back to 16, 17-year-old me, early 20s me. Like, I didn't even want like this life this journey we're on now. I didn't even want this.
Yeah.
I wasn't going after this. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so like to me, that just speaks to like a change that only God can do. Like you mentioned, changing hearts. That's only he can do. It's not that I was like, I got to get my life together. Let me work hard and do the things and go to therapy and find a religion and go to like, nah, like I wasn't even on that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, I know I didn't change my heart. I know it's not because of any work I did.
Yeah. And it's just now it's like, now I am like so thankful that this is the life that I'm living. Now I'm at a point where I love this life, but also I'm okay to surrender the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to.
Right.
I don't have to just give it all up or not do the things that I want to do. But man, like, he loves me so much.
Yeah. Man.
And it's the least I could do.
Man.
It's the least I could do is to say, I love you enough, God, to not choose to live however I want to live. Just to surrender my life.
Yeah, man.
And be like, you know what? It's good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay with it. I think when I think about like, hey, if not, like, if it's all not what we think it is,
right,
bro, I think I lived a pretty cool life.
Yeah,
like, you
man.
love people, you serve people, you try not to cuss people out on a regular basis. Like, you try to live generously. Like, what's so bad? Like, there's nothing.
Things.
There's
right.
there's
it's like
even
if we're wrong about this whole thing called Christianity, like
there's not a negative.
Right.
When I think about it, there's just not a negative when I see it. Like, okay, so I don't get to wild out. I don't get to do all whatever.
No crash outs 2025.
No, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get to do that. But then on the flip side, I think that's what I think about too. Like, the flip side of it.
Yeah.
Like, what if we are right?
Right. Yeah.
What if we are right?
Yeah.
And the opposite is not. And it's like, bro, I just don't want you to, I don't want you to go there.
Yeah. It's
like,
too big of
do
a
I
risk.
love you enough to tell the people that I love, or even in person, like, bro, like, Jesus loves you.
Yeah, man.
Like, and all he wants is a relationship with you.
That's what it's about. It's like, no, God has done so much for me, and I'm aware of that. And this is too good. Like, my relationship with God now, like, I want others, I want my brothers, I want people around me that don't know him to experience this. Like, I can't even explain to you like how good it is to have a relationship with our Creator.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if only you knew, and not knowing is what's causing like a lot of the pain and the heartache in our lives. Like, if you only knew that there's a God here that loves you and wants to bring you through all of these things, like, man,
there's just like,
and you know, I like what something you said a few minutes ago. You were basically saying, right, like, knowing what you know now, right? How could you not love and trust and follow this God, right? And that just reminded me of Romans 12. I had to just turn to it and I'll read it out. But Romans 12, this is Paul, who has spent chapters 1 to 11 telling about God, telling the history of, you know, the people of Israel, but also telling the history of humanity, right? And why we needed Jesus and everything that he did. And in Romans 12, this is him saying, you know, I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, therefore, meaning essentially in light of everything I've just told you that God did, that Jesus did for us, I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. And I love that verse because Paul is speaking to exactly what you mentioned, right? Like, in light of everything God's done, how could we not give it all up for him, follow him, right? In light of everything he's done, how could I not want to pursue him? How could I not love him when he was pursuing me, even in moments where I didn't even know if he was real, you know? So,
that's,
man,
we just gonna land right there.
Yeah.
We gonna land the plane right there.
Man.
But, that was, man, I appreciate you sharing your story. And like you said, like, I got to learn a little bit about your story that I might not have known.
Yeah.
But I hope y'all enjoy it. And I hope y'all like it. Yes.
And as always, man, if you guys have any questions or comments, definitely send us a DM, a message. If you know us personally, you know, text us, all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
I promise we're going to bring back our Q&A episode.
Yeah,
our Q&A segment. That we've been doing. But, these conversations been taking them on in their own lately.
Yeah. So. It's another episode of the Kingdom Blueprint Podcast. Appreciate y'all, and follow, share, do all the things.
We gotta listen. Don't forget. Kingdom Blueprint Podcast.
Peace.